If you've ever returned from a photo session excited about the pictures you just took, only to get home to realize that you have tons of images that you now have to work through, it can feel like a burden. Once you've downloaded all the images to your computer, you then need to decide which ones you're going to keep and which ones you want to put into the discard pile. But if you have 500 or more images, the task can seem really daunting. What if I told you there's a way that you can choose your best photos from the session in the shortest amount of time? Want to find out how? Let me show you this pro tip that nobody's talking about. Hi, I'm Darlene with Digital Photo Mentor. I have over 30 years of professional photography experience, and I'd love to share my skills with beginner and intermediate photographers like you so that I can help you improve your photography and your digital workflow. In this video, I'm going to show you how you can cut down your time at the computer so that you can get back out in the field doing photography, the thing that you really enjoy. Let's get started. For the purposes of this demonstration, I'm using Lightroom, which is where I import and sort my images. Regardless of whichever software you use, all you need to know is how to indicate a selection or a flag and a reject inside that software. Inside Lightroom, it's really easy. You just hit P for pick and X for reject. So I'm going to show you a couple of different galleries here. This is from some images that I took in Cuba in January 2020, and the ones that I've selected you can see are highlighted with a white outline and a white flag, so they're flagged as picks. And you can see that there's actually not that many. So if I do a quick show of this bottom panel here, you could see that there's 2,721 images total that I took in Cuba, and of the ones that I've flagged as picks, there are only 104. So what that means is I've gone through and I've chosen particular images and I just sort of disregarded the rest. The problem is when you come back home with a lot of images, what I see a lot of people do with their collection is they take upon the task of getting rid of all the bad images. Okay, so that's called editing out. Instead, what I'm doing, and the process that I recommend to speed up your workflow and your culling, is to do what's called edit in. So if you've ever taken a picture and right away you knew, oh, this image is going to be spectacular, go and find those ones first. That's what I did here with my Cuba pictures. So I knew that we had done some light painting and I wanted to make a layered document of that. I knew that we had had some drinks on this terrace and I wanted to find that picture and send it to my friends. I knew that we had done a group photo of our tour members, so I wanted to do that one. So I knew that there were certain ones that were spectacular and I wanted to go find them. We also did a photo shoot in an old mansion with several ballerinas, so I went through those images and just picked out my best. I took lots of images of these girls, but I went through and quickly picked my favorites. So let me show you how this works in another brand new set of images that I just took. Here you see I have a set of roughly 300 images that I took of my friend and model Petal. And they're fairly similar. So she's wearing this black dress and we did various different poses. So what I did was I knew that I wanted to send her a quick little preview from the photo shoot that evening. So I remembered one shot that I thought was going to be particularly great and it worked out really well. And it was this set here where she was bending down and touching a little plant. So what I did was I looked at all 5 really quickly. So the first one, she's looking down, her hair's perfect. That's the one that I remembered seeing in the camera going, yes, that's the shot. Right? Then I just took a look at the others. I wanted to see if her expression was any better or different in any of the other ones, and I didn't see that any of them were better. This one is very similar to the first one, so we could actually look at those two side by side if you're not sure, and I still like the first one. So what I did was I picked that one, and then I picked the second one where she's looking at the camera. Again, it was the best of the same or similar ones, and I flagged those two. The rest all get flagged as a reject. I did something similar with this set here, where she has her arm up on her hair, and there was quite a few very similar ones, as you can see. There's the whole set. So there's a lot of very similar images, 19 to be exact. And I ended up only choosing 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? So if I look at the ones that I've chosen and I flip through them, she's looking at the camera, she's looking away, her hand is a slightly different position, and her body's in a slightly different position. So they're all different. And what I did was I chose the very best expressions of each of those. So for example, there were several with her looking at the camera, and I felt that that was the best expression and her eyes were the most open. Same with the one looking away. Right? Same with the one in this hand position or various different body positions. I like this one because her eyes were more open. And then finally, the light was beautiful here. We had off-camera flash. Loved everything about it. Loved the pose. I knew this was another one I wanted to send her a quick preview of. So I actually did a quick process on this one and sent it to her the same evening that we photographed it. So when I go back to this entire set here, I did the same thing with all of them. And what I did was I recorded my process for you of going through this, doing the edit in technique. Okay, so what you want to do is go through all the similar looking images and just kind of scroll through and see the ones that grab you, whether it's a particular pose in this case, or her dress was flowing in a certain way. We did some walking poses here, so I was looking for arm position, feet position, eyes opened, right? So here, for example, I liked her leg position much better in this one than this one. So I'm looking for, does she look feminine and graceful? Is her hair flowing? Is the dress flowing? Does it all come together? So I'm looking for pictures to edit into the bunch and not the ones that I want to take out, okay? So the ones that don't grab me initially don't get flagged. So when I cull this set, I end up with around 90 or so. And you can see that these are now the best of the bunch. We also did a clothing change and a location change. So I did edit these real time from start to finish. And let me start the beginning timer. And I'm going to show you how I did this right from the beginning till the end and how long it took me. You might be surprised to find out how little time it took me to go through 300 images using the edit in technique. Okay, here we go. And I'm back. So as you can see, it took me just under 23 minutes to complete the edit on this entire set of images. And that was going through them quite scrutinizingly. So I was comparing one to the other a lot, as you could see in the speeded up version. So I've now got 98 images selected out of a total of 293 that I took on that day. So those are the images that I will be going through to the next stage and processing. But I still have a couple more things to show you. If you're enjoying this video so far, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. If you're fairly new to photo editing, or if you just want to practice and learn some new techniques, sign up for my free 5-day photo editing challenge. Each day you get a new tutorial and my raw file to work with so that you can follow along with the video tutorial. Just sign up using the link in the upper right corner now. I have one more tip for you. Currently, I'm displaying only the images that have been flagged. One thing I like to do to check that I've gone through them all is to just indicate by filtering for any that are unselected or unflagged, either pick or reject. If you're using another software, you'll just have to look up how you do that in that particular software. So I can see that I've made a pick or selection on each of them. I'm just making sure that I didn't miss any, right? So you can see that I have a set of rejects. There's 193 out of 293, and a set of picks. Now I've already created some subfolders called picks and rejects. So I'm actually going to just move all of the ones that I've selected into that folder called picks. And there's a second one called rejects. Now, this is where you get to make a decision. If you are ready to pull the plug and delete all the rejects because you never want to see them again, just select them all. So Command or Control A and hit delete on your keyboard. Right? If you're using Lightroom and you hit delete from disk, this will delete them from your hard drive as well. They are gone, bye-bye forever. Right? If you know that you don't ever want to see those pictures. If, for example, you may want to use them later or you may want to reference them, I sometimes keep the rejects from like group photos and things like that. In case I have to do a head swap, sometimes I'll actually find a good expression for the person that needs a head swap in the rejects. So I will usually keep mine and just put them into a subfolder called rejects. So they're separated and I don't accidentally, mistakenly show them to the model. So once I've got those moved into the folders, the final step of this culling process is renaming. Inside of Lightroom, that's a simple select all again and go up to the library menu and rename photos. Now I've got a bunch of presets set up so that I have one called custom name and a sequence with 4 digits. So in this case, I'm going to call it petal and I might put the year in. So even though the metadata is in the year, if I think I might photograph her again next year, which is a distinct possibility, then I can quickly tell the difference just with the file name. So when I hit OK, it's going to sequentially number them. The advantage of doing this is that when you show these pictures to the model or to your customer, right, you can see that they are all sequentially numbered. There's none missing. There's no gaps. Right? If you go and show them the original file names, which I don't recommend doing for 2 reasons. Number one, your original camera file names will recycle and start at 1 again after you hit the maximum number of digits. So you'll end up with duplicate numbers, which is dangerous. And if you cut some out, you'll actually end up seeing gaps in the numbers when you give it to the model. And they may say, well, wait a minute, where's number 12 and 16? You didn't show me those. So I renumber everything from 1 to the end so that there's no gaps in the sequential numbering and they don't know that you've taken anything out. Again, the benefit of that is that you can tell them that they were perfect in every single picture, that they were a fabulous model and you didn't have to take any out. Right? They also then believe that you are a fabulous photographer because you didn't make any mistakes, right? So it makes them feel good about you as their photographer and themselves as a person. So this is a win-win situation. So always cull fairly aggressively and give the model the images that are sequentially numbered so they don't have any gaps. If the photos you've taken are just for yourself, you can just leave them in one folder and number them all sequentially, including the picks and the rejects. Most of the time with my travel photography, for example, I don't even label all the rejects. I only label the best ones. Let me show you a quick example. This is a set of images from India in 2018. I took over 4,200 pictures. And as you can see, I've marked a few as rejects and I've marked a few as picks. The rejects are grayed out and the picks you can see are highlighted in white outline and possibly color coded. So I didn't necessarily go through them all, but I can quickly choose pick and see that I've chosen 560 pictures. So these are the best of the best. And in this case, I narrowed it down to only 500 out of 4,200. I was able to do that much quicker by going through and just looking at the ones that I knew. Like, you know, when you take a picture and you're like, oh, I know that's a good one, right? I went through looking for those because I knew that I had taken a good image at the time. So that's how to use editing in to cull much faster. I'm curious, and now I want to ask you a question. How long does it take you to cull a set of images? Do you delete all the rejects at the end, or do you save them just in case? Please leave a comment below. I'd really love to hear from you. If you like this sort of thing, please consider joining into my weekly live stream here on my YouTube channel. I edit subscriber-submitted images using my techniques and approach to workflow. You can join us live and ask questions in the chat, or you can even submit your images for me to edit. It happens every week right here on my Digital Photo Mentor YouTube channel. So what's next? Once you've selected the best images using this edit in technique, next you have to process your photos. Using the example images from this video, if it takes me only 5 minutes per image to do some processing on them, that's 500 minutes or 8.5 hours. Does that sound about right for you? But is that a good use of your time? And can we do it faster? Watch this next video and you'll learn how to process 100 images in less than an hour with this simple and easy workflow technique. Watch this video now. Having a good editing workflow is essential to being able to share the images quickly on social media, with family and friends, or with a client if that's the case. Until next time, keep taking pictures.